Well, shifting focus, the International Criminal Court has received wide global coverage, and Pretoria remains mum on the ICC's request to explain why it allowed Sudanese President Al Bashir to leave the country. President Al Bashir is indicted by the court for alleged war crimes, genocide and crimes against humanity, but South African authorities did not arrest and transfer him to the ICC when he attended an AU summit in June. Our correspondent, Jack Parrock, is at The Hague. He joins us now on the line. Jack, good afternoon to you. So what we know is that the ICC's judges, after hearing South Africa's submission, can decide whether or not to take the matter to higher courts or the UN Security Council. Fill us in on what's most likely to happen.
Well, in this case, it would be likely that if the court found that the South African authorities had been non-compliant with international law by not handing over the Sudanese president when he attended the AU summit, it's likely that they would refer this case up to the UN Security Council. Now, the reason for that is because Omar al-Bashir wasn't indicted originally just by the court, but the UN Security Council requested that he was indicted by the court. The UN Security Council founds the ICC, basically, and it's the kind of body that loops all of the countries together. The other option is to the Assembly of States Parties, which is a kind of council of all, it's the governing body of the ICC, but they have not so much power. Now, what could happen to South Africa if they are found to be non-compliant? Well, it would weaken the South African position within the UN, essentially, and it could become a pariah in some sense when it comes to international justice issues especially, but also on other matters as well.
All right, so Jack, you mentioned the non-compliance there, and the ICC had warned South Africa of the repercussions of allowing al-Bashir into the country way before he landed here. So what kind of repercussions could we see? How likely is this to lead to the finding of non-compliance?
Well, the process of non-compliance will take a while. South Africa now has until October the 5th to respond to this request from the International Criminal Court to explain their version of events. We're at a very, very early stage at the moment. The court has essentially said, we have an idea of what we think happened. Now, South Africa, you must tell us what you think happened. And then once all that information is collected, then the teams here at the court will decide whether they think there's non-compliance or not. It's generally accepted within the international justice community, a lot of the experts I've spoken to, that a finding of non-compliance will be very likely. But the South African authorities will obviously be asked to present their version of events, and then it could come to being called to the court. Now, in South Africa, the judiciary has already said that President Jacob Zuma will not be investigated in this matter. And in fact, now President Zuma has accepted an invitation by the Sudanese President Al Bashir to visit him in Sudan. So although this is a legal matter as far as everything that goes on in the court here, externally and internationally, this is becoming a lot more politicized as well.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. We'll leave it there. That's our correspondent, Jack Parrock, joining us live from The Hague.